balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. First of all, I want to thank the couple whiskey warriors that sent me Fat Paws's obituary. I do appreciate that. I will go and take a look at that. Anyway, I'll go and take a look at that here soon. I'm sure it was written very, very well for it. Yeah, it's that time of year. I mean, I'm now taking on the night shift and obviously doing the wood stove stoking and things like that. Holly over on Rumble asks, why did Whiskey Musing's name go away anyway? Well, the reason being is because of the fact that I wanted to attempt to get more exposure and get more listeners and things like that. Plus, the name change also reflected a little bit more of what my topics and discussion points generally seem to be. So, yeah, the Whiskey Musings name is still active. I mean, it's still available for me to use, and I am planning on bringing it back sometime, not necessarily in a full podcast format, but potentially a segment on this show or something along those lines. But that's the reason for the name change. I went from the W to the A, and yeah, anyway. So there you go. Made it a little bit easier for people to see and people to find. And of course, like I said, it reflects a little bit more of what I discuss rather than, I mean, a lot of people were thinking that Whiskey Musings was talking about whiskey. And while I did talk about whiskey, I didn't do it all the time. This is a politics show. This is an American viewpoint show. We talk a lot about history and America and Americana and law and all of these things. So that's why the Whiskey Musings name change. So there you go. For those of you that didn't fully get that point a long time ago. All right, folks, let's get started here tonight. Let's see. For tonight, Nana of JJS is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Nana of JJS as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Nana, for sending in that absolutely fantastic Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style. Well, performing or reciting. I mean, let's face it. You can either do it to music or, I mean, we've got them both. Anyway, some smart aleck over on YouTube left me a comment and was like, help me to understand something. You ask for people to send in the Pledge of Allegiance and you're transmitting while people are driving, like as in most people are on their way home. And they said, what if somebody gets into an accident trying to send you a Pledge of Allegiance? And I mean, oh my gosh, people, I don't know where you get the idea that I am even suggesting that you try and send it in during your drive. I mean, there is a little bit of logic and reason and, common sense and understanding that you should take on when you do these kinds of things. So anyway, as I was saying, if you would like to send your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style, take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and send it off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I am looking for number 21. So if you would like to supply me with number 21, that would be absolutely awesome. Also, too, if you do it on your phone, PSA, not while driving, use the share option in order to share it to the fans at AmericanPerspective.online email address. I can't even believe. You know, it's kind of like the whole Tide Pods thing. It's like people who know about Tide Pods. I mean, why would you even do some kind of a challenge to like hit I don't know. What were they doing? It's like eating. It's like, what? Come on, people. It's just see, but that's the level of intelligence that we're dealing with today. And believe me, folks, these people do vote, and it's scary to even think about the fact that they do. I'm sorry, but yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was. I don't think I didn't catch it right at the showtime. I didn't catch it right after showtime. It was just a notification that I picked up like hours later, and I was going, "What the fuck is this?" Wow. Yeah, being alive in this kind of time is sort of like, okay. Anyway, let's get on to the headline sponsor, which tonight's headline sponsor, I'm wearing one of their fabulous shirts right now. This one is the Declaration of Independence men's cotton polo. They have fantastic Americana styles all over the place, which you can find if you go and check out theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt, all one word, .com. You can go and check out all of their patriotic styles. They're still advertising all of their patriotic styles for fall because technically winter doesn't hit until, I think it's December 21st or 22nd. I can never remember. Anyway, they have men's, women's, made in the USA, kids. They have accessories in the fantastic red, white, and blue. They also are debuting soon their America 250 line, which is, of course, going to be a collector's item because 250 years of America being on the face of the earth as a nation is a fantastic celebration that we should all get involved with this coming year in 2026. So head on over to theflagshirt.com and check out all of their stuff. And if you order $75 or more of their product, they will provide you with free shipping. That's correct. Free shipping on all orders, $75 or more. That's just standard across the board. That isn't anything special. I mean, it is special, but it's not like anything special because they do it all the time. You order $75 or more of their product, they give you free shipping. But I know not everybody can order $75 or more. Maybe you'd only want one shirt. Maybe you only want a few accessories. Maybe you're not looking to buy $75 or more, although it would be really good to like hand out all kinds of American stuff for Christmas this year. Make it a red, white, and blue, red and green and blue Christmas. Wow, that's a lot of colors. Anyway, go and check out all of their styles at theflagshirt.com. But since not everybody wants to pay $75 or more or buy $75 or more of product at the moment, I'm going to help you out. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. And you will be presented with a coupon code that you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get yourself $5 off your order on American Perspective. That's go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. Be presented with that coupon code, copy and paste that into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you will receive $5 off your order on American Perspective. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. Ooh, I got lost a couple of times in that. I didn't write that down. That was all off the cuff. which that particular spot usually is. The only one that I actually have written down, honestly, is the Constitution one, the Institute on the Constitution. All the others I just sort of do off the cuff. Anyway, hey, I know that I am a whiskey drinker, and I know that there's a bunch of people out there who are also whiskey drinkers. Nana, talking to you. So you may not be interested in this offer, but if you happen to be in Idaho sometime and you want a free beer, like for a full month, all you have to do is help ICE deport an illegal immigrant. I mean, an illegal alien. I should use the proper legal term for them. So the bar is called Old State Saloon. And it's the Eagle, Idaho. So you have to drive or fly or get to Eagle, Idaho. And you can find the Old State Saloon. And if you can prove that you helped ICE identify and ultimately deport an illegal alien from Idaho, you will get free beer for 1 month at the Old State Saloon. And it's not just for one time either. The saloon may award multiple months to one person if multiple illegal aliens are deported. That's right. You can go to Eagle, Idaho, Old State Saloon, and get free beer if you help ICE identify and ultimately deport illegal aliens. They announced this on their X account, and let me tell you, the left is going nuts over this. They are going just absolutely crazy. Absolutely nuts. Yeah. Anyway. There are some limitations on the prize. It's 2 beers per day for 1 month. And it's at this, obviously the bar's discretion. So there is a bit of a limitation. I mean, you can't just go there and get totally soused for free every single day for 1 month on the Old State Saloon. I mean, they do have it locked down and you get 2 beers per month, but yeah. And by the way, in order to claim that prize, you have to submit your evidence to deportations at oldstatesaloon.com. That's deportations at oldstatesaloon.com. And anyway, you must include the relevant documentation, photos, and videos backing up the fact that you got rid of an illegal alien from Idaho. And so far, there's been at least one person who's claimed the prize already. Wow. So, and the one person was the vice chair of the Ada County Republican Central Committee. His name is Ryan Spoon. He's the first winner as he provided evidence to ICE and helped secure an arrest. So there you go. And of course, the left is like, yeah, they're already, one of the leftist morons already says time to cancel this place. Hell, I just might go to Eagle, Idaho just to buy a beer for, for supporting the whole idea. Facebook apparently got pissed off and took the post down, but the bar also shared the thing on X. And they wrote, Facebook is so gay. And they have a picture. Here, I'll show it to you. They have a picture of the removing of the page. Oh, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. You guys suck. Anyway. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also, too, they apparently, maybe I gotta go to this bar. I really do, because they have a Make America Great Again signature cocktail menu, which is posted on their website. Now, as far as the beers go, Winners can choose up to 20 different taps and over 30 different bottled variations and canned options that Old State has to offer. Wow. God, I might just have to figure out. We may have to go to Old State Saloon in Idaho, Eagle, Idaho, Mrs. Whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if you just heard, but they're offering free beer to anyone who can prove that they helped ICE deport an illegal alien. Like free beer for a month. 2 beers per day for the whole month, free, when you can prove it. They also apparently have some kind of Make America Great Again signature cocktail list. so I think we may have to take a trip there. Anyway,
Have you seen the new whiskey that's out?
what? Seen the new whiskey that's out?
Take left. Tears of the left or something like
Oh, if you see that again, you got to get that for me.
that.
All right. So Mrs. Whiskey just told me there's apparently a new whiskey out called Make Tears of the Left or something like that. So there you go. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get on. So I talked a little bit about this when we last were together on Saturday, but the Washington Post put out a okay. So a Tears of the Left whiskey is what it's called, apparently, according to Nana of JJS. All right. So anyway, as I was saying, there is a spin cycle that has been running around. The Washington Post, of course, put out this hit piece, and it targeted Pete Hegseth. And Pete Hegseth basically was, according to the Washington Post hit piece, and keep in mind, this was anonymously sourced. Whenever you see a leftist rag put out an anonymous source, always question. Always question. I mean, don't take it at face value. I'm sorry. Anonymous sources, yeah, they're great. And most of the time, they are probably true. But there's no actual way to, prove 100% without actually assigning a name to the source. And so anyway, they ran with this anonymously sourced hit piece claiming that the War Secretary, Pete Hegseth, had ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill them all, quote unquote. And the legacy media outlets immediately fell all over themselves, platforming guests who would question whether or not such an order, if given, was legal. Now, keep in mind, this follows behind the Democrats who were the
Tears of the left.
Tears of the Left. Okay. Huh. All right. So anyway, the leftist mainstream media outlets all jumped on the bandwagon, and they were all like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta run with this." Platforming guests who would question whether or not such an order is legal or illegal. Now, keep in mind, nothing really is done without prior knowledge. And think about this: you have the seditious six who put out that video talking about illegal orders and how it is, against the UCMJ to follow illegal orders. And of course, they don't bother putting in examples or even talking about what orders were illegal because, that wouldn't fit their narrative, which is essentially to try and influence or foment disloyalty and insubordination within the military, which is exactly what the seditious six were doing. And I'm telling you, this is all part of the whole PSYOPs kind of thing. In fact, speaking about that, I'm getting a field manual. I'm getting a copy of the field manual for the Army PSYOPs, and I'm going to kind of read through that, and I'll let you know, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, we're seeing a color revolution right here, right now." So anyway, Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, all of these people were they were just lining up to talk about this. So once the story began circulating on Saturday, Hegseth addressed it directly, saying, as usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland. He continued and said, as we've said from the beginning in every statement, these highly effective strikes are specifically intended to be lethal kinetic strikes. The declared intent is to stop lethal drugs, destroy narco boats, and kill the narco terrorists who are poisoning the American people. Every trafficker we kill is affiliated with a designated terrorist organization. Now, the focus across this was what happened after the initial missile strike. So apparently operators were watching, and again, this is all allegedly, were watching a live feed that showed 2 survivors clinging to the wreckage of the boat. Then, according to the Washington Post's report, a second strike was carried out in order to comply with the directive to quote-unquote kill them all. And the legality of that second strike is in particular where they were focusing the majority of the attention. Now, yeah. Anyway, you know, a lot of people don't seem to understand this, that you don't necessarily, in wartime, you don't necessarily worry about survivors that much. Okay? You just don't. And granted, I mean, we haven't declared war since World War II, so don't come at me with that bull crap about, oh my gosh, you know, Congress needs to declare war against these people. No, they don't. No, they don't. We haven't declared war since World War II. Congress has provided the president a lot of leeway when it comes to protecting the homeland in terms of how to ensure that, especially things like nation states that are not nation states, for an example, all these drug cartels who are basically acting as many, let's say, mini nation states. Just look at Mexico, for an example. They're in everywhere. They're in the government. They're in everything. They take over police departments. They do all kinds of stuff. But anyway, the question, of course, is questioned whether or not these 2 men who apparently were, quote, clinging to the side of the boat pose an imminent threat. And, yeah, like I said, you don't seem to understand that when a target is to be obliterated, yeah, that's literally what you have to do. So, anyway, there is going to be some sort of a check. The Congress is apparently taking this out. And, in particular, Chris Van Hollen, who is a Democrat from Maryland, he is framing or basically attempting to frame the second strike as a quote-unquote war crime. And Van Hollen, of course, jumped on that and said, yeah, it certainly would be a war crime, but only if one accepted the Trump administration's assertion that the United States was, in fact, at war with the cartels. Huh. Yeah. So then he tried to equivocate the 2 enemy combatants and their destruction as a possible murder. Really? It was murder when Obama drone struck that U.S. citizen who was supposedly a terrorist. Yeah, I think you Democrats are going to be opening up a box that you don't want to open. Trust me. Trust me. Anyway, so, they had all these people on the, on the shows, and they all are saying the exact same thing. In fact, even some Republicans are doing the same thing. So even some Republicans who, well, of course, let's just face it. There are several, not many, but there are several Republicans that are anti-Trump. And they're all part of the same machine, just so you understand and know. They're all part of the same machine. And so anyway, on CBS's Face the Nation, Senator Tim Kaine, who is a moron, argued that he was unsure of the legality of any of the strikes against narco-terrorists. Sorry, but they are legal. Trust me. If you sit here and posit the fact that Donald Trump is just doing stuff and not a single person in the entire chain of command even question whether or not this was ran through legal channels to know whether or not these strikes were actually legal or illegal. They are legal. They are part of a domestic terrorist organization. It's legal, folks. I'm sorry. It is legal. You can sit here and you can complain about whether or not they did the right thing or not. They were told to obliterate the target, get rid of it completely. And that's what they did. And it is full legal. Why they're sitting here again, this is all the news spin, this is all the mainstream media, this is anything and everything that the Democrats can do because they really don't have anything else. They have no other card in which to play against Trump. Their Epstein gambit failed. The whole idea of doing the government shutdown failed. Going up against him and Doge failed. All of these things are failing, and they're drowning here. They're drowning in their own cesspool. And so they are grasping at straws any other time that they can. I mean, there are so many things in history, so many historical artifacts. You talk about Korea, you talk about Vietnam, you talk about Panama, Grenada, Bay of Pigs, so many different things that have gone on in our country and in our history that have all been deemed legal. They have no leg to stand on here, people. They really don't. And this is just, all this is just a bunch of noise because they are trying to, take care of it. So now Mark Kelly, one of the seditious six, oh my gosh, he was on State of the Union on CNN. And he claimed that he would have disregarded the order to carry out the second strike, which is a bunch of bullshit. And yes, I am calling him out for this because he goes, I'm a guy who I have sunk 2 ships during the Gulf War. And I never in that situation questioned whether those strikes were legal. We were given an order to do this. It was a time of war. Okay, I just want to point out, you remember what I just said? America has not declared war since World War II. I seem to recall the Gulf War, we call it a war, but it was never a declared war. So how is it that Mark Kelly, who took out enemy ships, and by the way, one of those ships, he hit and his wingman hit a second time. So that falls directly into this same exact situation. And he's sitting here saying, we were given an order to do this, and it was a time of war. No, it wasn't. It was a time of a police action, apparently. Because of the fact that we have not declared war. Congress has not officially declared war since World War II. So everything that has gone on since World War II that we have been involved in, not one of them has been a declared war that the Democrats keep trying to think that Congress has to do this. They don't. They don't. Yeah. Kelly is just, all they're doing is they're just trying to get their 15 minutes of fame. Seriously. Yeah. Now, one person, Marine Corps veteran Joey Jones, was on Fox News' Big Weekend show, and he is a Marine Corps veteran. I don't know if I said that, but I'll say it again anyway. He actually pushed back and argued that a quote-unquote imminent threat does not always have to come in the form of guns pointed at American civilians. Joey Jones said, "Spare me the tears over terrorists when you don't cry over Americans who've died from them. Spare me the tears over terrorists when you didn't have anything to say when President Obama droned civilians." Exactly right, folks. I mean, these Democrats, they're sitting here and they're trying to make this all sound like, oh, he's doing it unconstitutionally. No, he's not. Again, we have not declared official war against anybody since World War II. That was the last time that Congress actually declared war. Anyway, Jones wisely noted that if the survivors were able to radio others in their drug trafficking network, that could be just as grave of a threat and could also quickly result in men with guns showing up to defend them. See, that's the problem. Because the people, except with the exception of Mark Kelly, who literally said that he did something outside of constitutional war declaration, because he did. All of that, okay, all of that is this is just ridiculous. I mean, come on, people. Total ridiculousness on this. All right, let's talk about, I talk about them a lot. I talk about coffee a lot, but I don't want to do coffee tonight. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Augusta Gold. This is going to be a quick one. Did you know that the biggest threat to your retirement is not something that's talked about often? Our increased longevity in America means default retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, and TSPs may not suffice. If you have over $100,000 in your retirement account, you can get instant access to a free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step you can take to secure your financial future. Text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to the number 35052. Text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to the number 35052. And you'll be able to get your hands on that free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step that you can take to secure your financial future. Once again, text SAFE, S-A-F-E, to the number 35052 to get that free 2-minute report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step that you can take to secure your financial future. Text that number, text SAFE to the number 35052 today. All right. Well, there was a new revelation that has come out from Just the News. You know how this whole EBT and food stamps and SNAP programs and all of this stuff has all been talked about quite a bit since the government shutdown. And just so anybody really needs to understand in terms of history here, food stamps were first issued in 1939 under a Democrat called FDR as an assistance program to prevent starvation during the Great Depression. Now, there's only one problem. EBT and food stamps are supposed to go to just food alone. Well, here's the problem, and here's the issue, and here's where the fraud comes in, folks. Many of these people are taking these EBT cards and they're selling them at face value or maybe a little less, whatever it is, and using whatever money they can get for those EBT cards and SNAP food benefits to buy things like liquor and smoke paraphernalia. Now, the reason why there's a bit of a concern about this, according to Just the News, is because recent food stamp data demonstrates, and this is food stamp data that was uncovered by the Foundation for Government Accountability, and they published this report that was an analysis of SNAP retailer data, meaning all of these things that SNAP, all these retailers that accept SNAP and EBT benefits, they found more than 5,000 liquor and smoke shops were supported. Now, I don't know about you, but I've walked into many liquor stores. I've walked into many smoke shops. And I can't recall at any given point in time that any of these places actually have what would be considered healthy foods. I mean, most of these, yes, they carry junk food. They carry, the typical sugar-laden crap and all this other stuff. But yeah, they're basically selling What they think are happening is these EBT and SNAP benefits are being sold off, and the money is being used in order to buy liquor and smokes. Now, why would you have a liquor and a smoke shop be able to accept these items? There really is no reason for it. And so this, as an example, is just one of the ways that SNAP and EBT are being utilized and defrauded, which is something that the American taxpayer, all American taxpayers, whether you're left or right, should be worried about. But no, the leftists, they don't care. They don't give a crap. And in fact, they falsely accused the report as like, hey, well, EBT and SNAP can't be used for those items. Well, it doesn't matter whether they can be used for them or not. If you sell the EBT cards, you sell the SNAP benefits or whatever for, pennies on the dollar, 50 cents per dollar of EBT or whatever it is, 75 cents or whatever, then, that's a bit of a problem, don't you think? So breaking down the data that the Foundation for Government Accountability found, more than 4,000 stores that they found on the list promoted alcohol in their title, and another 1,000 did so for tobacco. The foundation told Just the News the real numbers could actually be even higher, considering that researchers only counted stores that directly referenced those products in their titles. Okay? So, the FGA, which, says that the prevalence of stores that sell these products raises concerns about the potential for different kinds of SNAP fraud. These stores become hotbeds of fraud where the benefit cards are bought and sold in exchange for alcohol or tobacco products. Senior data analyst at FGA, Krista Starr, told Just the News. So the Food Stamp Act of 1964, which first established the SNAP program in its modern form, permitted the funds to be used for all items for human consumption except alcohol. That particular prohibition still stands. But recipients are also prohibited from buying cigarettes, tobacco products, and other items like pet food and cosmetics. But yet we all know that they do. They sell these things off. A review of SNAP fraud cases by a law firm shows that food stamp recipients and store owners have been involved in schemes to illegally sell benefits or swap them for non-eligible purchases at stores, such as alcohol and tobacco. So there you go. Yeah. So come on, seriously, I mean, you're going to let these people, accept these items at these stores? Give me a break. Anyway, as you can see, it's just one aspect of potential fraud. Speaking of fraud, and I'm just going to slide over into Minnesota here. So Donald Trump and the media spin cycle are just completely out of their minds because Donald Trump called Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, Stolen Valor Tim Walz. He called him retarded. Oh my God. They called him retarded. And, the media keeps asking him, or kept asking him, about why he called Tim Walz retarded. And, of course, Donald Trump being Donald Trump, he basically said that he thinks there's something wrong with him. Absolutely. So, and of course the media and the memes that have come out of it. Oh my gosh. Well, here's part of the reason why Donald Trump labeled Tim Walz as being retarded. And the first reason also has to deal with food stamps and fraud, or food programs and fraud. So this story broke last week, and I talked a little bit about it before. There is a massive Somali welfare fraud cases all over in Minnesota. Billions of taxpayer money has been stolen. Millions has potentially gone to terrorists, which is an allegation that lawmakers are starting to ask federal federal prosecutors to actually investigate. So for those of you that don't know, Minnesota, Washington, and one other place, I think, have large Somali populations. And Minnesota in particular exploited welfare programs and raked in billions of taxpayer dollars. So the first one, obviously, we talked about here on the program was Feeding Our Future, which the Department of Justice said that Minnesota nonprofit and its affiliates stole more than $240 million in federal funds in what constituted the nation's largest COVID-19 pandemic relief scheme. So, so there's that. Now, that happened, obviously, under Tim Walz's watch as governor. Okay? The defendant's $250 million haul was used to buy luxury cars, houses, jewelry, and coastal resort property abroad, according to then U.S. Attorney Andrew Luger back in 2022, when the first 47 people were charged. Since then, dozens more have been charged, and on November 24th, the DOJ announced it had charged a 78th defendant connected to Feeding Our Future. So, yeah. So far, 50 of the defendants, including the nonprofit group's founder, Amy Bach, have been convicted. Bach is being held in federal custody awaiting sentencing right now. Now, because, and a lot of people are asking, how in the hell does this happen? Well, according to this piece in the Epoch Times, because schools were closed during the pandemic, the officials relaxed rules for the federal child nutrition program and began allowing non-educational organizations to feed needy children. Bad actors figured out how to take advantage. Feeding Our Future recruited people to open more than 250 nutrition program sites throughout Minnesota. These locations fraudulently claimed to be serving meals to thousands of children within a day, within just days or weeks of being formed, according to the Justice Department back in 2022. To enroll in the program and to receive and launder proceeds from the scheme, the defendants created dozens of shell companies in an attempt to hide their fraud, which included submitting fake documentation, according to the Justice Department. Alarm bells started ringing after officials saw how fast the program was expanding the Feeding Our Future. In 2021, the organization received and dispersed $200 million, which is 59 times more than the $3.4 million it handled in 2019 pre-pandemic. Yeah. According to a 2024 special review conducted by the Minnesota Office of Legislative Auditor, it found that the State Department of Education failed to act on warning signs prior to the start of the alleged fraud. These warning signs included numerous complaints and red flags raised about Feeding Our Future, which began operating in 2016. The department apparently also did not enforce program requirements and was ill-prepared to take effective action. Yeah, the State Department of Education, guess who's in charge of that? Or who puts somebody in charge? Oh, yeah, none other than Tim Walz, the governor. Yep. Now we have a second scandal that has just surfaced. 2 months ago, the Justice Department released information on a separate scandal centered around millions in fraudulent Medicaid claims admitted through a program called Housing Stabilization Services. 8 initial defendants are currently accused, according to a September 18th DOJ news release. In 2020, Minnesota became the first U.S. state to offer Medicaid coverage for finding and maintaining housing for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and those struggling with mental or substance abuse disorders. The program, of course, was intended to combat homelessness. But, of course, crooks gamed the system. They obtained names of eligible people from places such as addiction treatment centers, then use that information to submit inflated fake reimbursement claims, according to the Justice Department. The initial cost of the program was expected to be $2.6 million per year, but in 2020 alone, the program paid out nearly 10 times that amount, roughly $21 million. Yeah, that figure, by the way, increased exponentially each year, reaching $104 million in 2024, nearly 40 times more than it was originally estimated. Guess what? That's under Tim Wall's watch. But yet, wait, there's more. This one, there was a third scheme that apparently targeted autism care funding. 6 days after announcing about the Housing Stabilization Service accusations, acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson revealed charges in a third major welfare fraud case. In this case, a 28-year-old woman is accused of illegally reaping $14 million from an autism care program. Now, I just think I seem to recall something about Tim Walls' son being on the autism spectrum. Anyway, prosecutors say that from 2019 to 2024, Asha Farhan Hassan and her associates would recruit parents to get their children checked for autism. Every recruited child that received the diagnosis, the DOJ said, unlocked federal reimbursements. In exchange for cooperating with the scheme, parents received a monthly quote-unquote kickback of $300 to up to $1,500 per child, depending on how much money the federal government authorized for that child, according to the DOJ. Now, the defendant and her partners allegedly split their ill-gotten gains, and Hassan, and this is where we get into the terrorist part, Hassan apparently sent hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraud proceeds abroad, some of which she used to purchase real estate in Kenya. Ironically, Hassan is also accused in the Feeding Our Future case. Oh, so the birds of a feather flock together. Anyway, and that is just one example of the intertwined nature of the Minnesota scandals. Now, all of this has been done on Tim Wall's watch. He allowed millions upon millions of dollars to get defrauded from the federal and state governments. Yeah. So, by the way, together, the three scandals, quote, form a web that has stolen billions of dollars in taxpayer money. The U.S. Attorney Thompson said, lamenting that schemes stacked upon schemes, draining resources meant for those in need. He said, I have spent my career as a fraud prosecutor, and the depth of the fraud in Minnesota takes my breath away. Yeah. So, and they're overwhelmed, by the way. They can't, they're having a bit of a problem because these things are resource intensive. Now, they also found that millions that were stolen in the Minnesota welfare money, any one of those three programs, by the way, have been funneled to Al-Shabaab, which is an ISIS-aligned terror group. Now, this was actually revealed by a news outlet, but House Speaker Mike Johnson pointed this out on X. And this basically makes all of this. It was originally reported by the City Journal. And I talked about that not too long ago. Okay. But, yeah, folks, I'm just telling you, there is nothing. I mean, I'm going to kind of move off of this for a second, but there is nothing that these programs can be done. You think even if you sit here and you think, oh, I'm giving money to a legitimate program. Legitimate programs, they take a good portion of your dollars, and many of those dollars actually don't make it to the hands of those who actually need it. You really need to analyze when you're giving to these programs, these NGOs, these non-government affiliated organizations, when you take a look at how much money you're actually giving to them, your dollar, the amount of your dollar, oftentimes 60, 70, sometimes up to 80%, goes to the corporation, the organization, and overhead. It does not make it into the hands of the people who actually need it. You got to be careful with all of this stuff. You really, really do. Okay, I'm going to quickly shift gears here. Now, let me take a quick drink because my voice is getting a little dry. All right. I'm going to shift gears here. For all of you dumbass leftist morons out there who seem to think that sanctuary cities and sanctuary states are being justice, they're justified to standing up to Trump, I just want to point out something, okay? And this is this is an example. So you all, of course, and by you all, I mean all of you leftist morons, seem to think that, you know, these federal judges who are saying that Trump can't enforce federal law by using the National Guard, you know, that's something that oh my gosh, you know, that can't happen between the Posse Comitatus Act and, you know, that. Well, yeah, but there is the Insurrection Act, which I'm going to cover here in just a minute, that defeats that problem. So here, Oregon's governor. Now, why this piece actually stated that she's a lesbian, I don't know. I don't really care. But Oregon's governor threatens to prosecute federal agents for enforcing U.S. immigration law. Folks, these states cannot do that. This is dumb. You people are idiots. Governor Tina Kotek put out a freaking letter that, of course, you know, she uses that as a badge. Because, again, Democrats all must have their identity politics in order. Who cares? I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're a lesbian. I don't care if you're transgender, realistically. As long as you're not trying to shove it down my throat, I don't really give a crap one way or the other, okay? But here's the thing. Tina Kotek is saying that she is going to possibly prosecute these people. Folks, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. This is it right here, okay? This is it. The Insurrection Act. And I'm a little bit hot under the collar on this. But the Insurrection Act itself clearly calls out in section 253 of the Insurrection Act. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see this. But in the Insurrection Act, it basically says right here that the president, by using the militia or armed forces or both, or by any other means, shall take such measures as he considers necessary to suppress in any state any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy if it's, here it is, if it so hinders the execution of the laws of that state and of the United States within that state, and any part or class of its people is deprived of right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution and secured by law, and constituted authorities of that state are, here's the key words, jackasses, are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right, privilege, or immunity, or give that protection, or give that protection, or, and here's the other part. So here it is, okay? If authorities, the constituted authorities of the state, are unable, fail, or refuse, and oppose or obstructs the execution of the laws, that's this part right down here, of the United States, or impedes the course of justice under those laws, that means that the president can use the militia or armed forces or both, or any other means. Folks, it's right here. It's right here in black and white in the law. These places like Oregon and Illinois and all of these other jackasses who are sitting here and saying, well, hell, we're going to arrest federal agents who are trying to get rid of people under immigration law. Guess what, jackasses? It's right here. It's right freaking here in print that if you, because you are the governor, the constituted authorities of that state, if you are unable, if you fail, or if you refuse to protect or opposes or obstructs the execution of the law. See, this is where this is all legal. So all of these dumbass federal judges who are sitting here saying, no. He put out the National Guard illegally. No, he did not. He did not. When this hits the state the Supreme Court, the SCOTUS, all of that shit's going to get overturned. All of it. It's going to get overturned because these governors dug themselves a hole by saying they were not going to enforce immigration law, which is the federal law of the land. And they are not going to enforce it. Yeah. Listen, dumbasses, it's right here. It is right here. And if you want to look it up, this is a Harvard undergraduate law review commentary written in the fall of 2020 about this. And it goes through the entire connection between the Insurrection Act of 1807 and the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. I am so done with you idiots and morons and droogs who do not understand that, yes, the military can be used under certain circumstances. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, the governors of the state do not have to call out for it. Okay? Now, the second part of the section or the second section of the Insurrection Act does say that the president's power to deploy the military to any of the 50 states if a state's legislature or governor request it. However, that is also superseded by this one, which is whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages, or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impractical to enforce the laws in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, he may call into the federal service such of the militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or suppress the rebellion. So this section, according to this document, this legal review, says this section makes it clear that the president does not need the state permissions, but rather can choose to deploy the military across the country if they deem it necessary to enforce federal law and protect U.S. sovereignty. There you go. And by the way, it even continues. This is a great piece. You guys really should read this. It says, however, if one stops here, it could be falsely assumed that the power is granted in cases that only threaten the overall sovereignty and not a single state. However, that assumption that this power can be utilized whenever the president considers, if even in cases of threat to the sovereignty of an individual state, should be deemed false. In order to better understand the scope, they go to 253, which again is what I just read you, where he can use it at any time, okay? At any time, he can use this when the state refuses, right here, the constituted authorities refuse, let me get this up a little bit more. When the constituted authorities are unable, fail, or refuse, and oppose or obstruct the execution of the laws of the United States. There it is in black and white, folks. I can't get any better. I can't get any closer. I can't make it any more clear for you idiots. Anyway, I see I'm out of time. Oh, I still got a couple things that are going to end up on the cutting room floor here because I got hot under the collar. Anyway. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. I'll see if I can carry these other ones over till tomorrow night. But anyway, thanks for joining. That is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, please make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel. Hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, and, of course, for 3 Chevy, the thumb sideways, across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everyone.